Sweet. Yo, what's up, everybody? Kevin here, on for the next hour to talk to you guys about snowboarding, answer any of your snowboard questions, and also wanted to recap the Austria trip. So I just got back from Austria last night, so I wanted to talk to you guys about that trip. Also, I know that a lot of places around the world are opening for the season, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about opening day, how to get prepared for opening day and the start of the season. And also wanted to talk to you guys about the Snowboard Pro Camp board project. So I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Knightdecker is helping me build my own snowboard and potentially start a Snowboard Pro Camp line. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the Snowboard Pro Camp snowboard, the development project I'm doing with Knightdecker, and just get some feedback from you guys throughout the next year. Just want to have keep you guys in the loop, talk to you guys, have your input so that we can together make like the best possible snowboard. So I'm really stoked on that. But before we get into any of that stuff, let's just give you guys a few shout outs. We got a bunch of people in the chat already. We got Steve Gregory, Adi, Matyes, Luke, Hayes, Martin, Kirsten, Joe, Will, Mr. What's that for a second there? We got Adrian, Emilian Popoff, Elena, Lorenzo. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys maybe first about the Austria trip. So I just got back from Austria last night, actually. So it was a 10-hour flight back from Germany to Vancouver. And I'm doing this live chat a little bit early today because normally, with the jet lag and everything, I'm not sure how long I'll be able to stay up today, so I wanted to just hop on here a bit earlier. But Austria was incredible. We were there snowboarding for 2 weeks, met tons of people up on the mountain. Shout out to everyone we met. We had U.S. military guys coming from Italy to come say hello, to come hang out. Some from Germany as well. Shout out to Sam from Germany for coming down. We were meeting up with lots of the local rider kids who are on teams to train and get ready for the season. And yeah, just people coming from all over. Met people from Russia, from Germany, just all over Europe. So it was an amazing time. I think that as we were talking about the trip ahead of time, I feel like some people started to make some plans to come out, and it was so awesome meeting up with people. At the start of the trip, we had the guys from Knightdecker come out and hang out with us too, which was amazing. Got to talk to the head board shaper over at Knightdecker and just learned so much about making boards and how to design a board. So that was so invaluable, so amazing to learn about snowboards from him. And also we had some friends from Belgium come out for a few days, awesome riding with those guys. And just the whole crew that we had out there in Austria was so cool. And Austria is Hintertux is the place that we were at, and it's such a cool place to be snowboarding in October. They have a terrain park there with lots of different jumps, from small, medium, and extra large jumps. Lots of different features, a flow park. So a really cool place to be in October. So yeah, it was, I feel like it was a very successful trip. I still have 5 videos to make from that trip, so stay tuned. I feel like normally would love to have to be making the videos as we go, but just got a bit behind. But yeah, we'll have all those videos out for you guys. So incredible trip to Austria. Back now, gonna be working hard on getting the videos out for you guys, and yeah, looking forward to the next trip. Which kind of brings me into the next thing, is that it's opening. A lot of places are opening. I know that some places here in North America have already opened, down in Colorado, in California. I know that Mammoth Mountain opened a few days ago. And so just places opening all over the place. So I want to talk to you guys about that first day up the mountain, getting everything together. And then yeah, also the board project. Let's hop into the comments though and see if there's any questions. Yeah, let me know, guys, where you guys are watching from as well. It's always fun to see where everyone's watching from. Braden says, I'm a bodybuilder, so pretty muscle bound. Do you have any tips on how to be more limber for boarding? Braden, yeah, for sure, man. If you can, like, add some, like, for myself, I try to do like an hour of stretching a day. I'm not amazing about sticking to it, but if you can, like, add in about an hour of stretching, like getting down into a squat, stretching your hips, your hamstrings, all those areas, that really helps for snowboarding. If you can get into like a yoga routine, I think yoga is amazing for snowboarding. But just anything where you are stretching out your hips, your knees, your ankles, your hamstrings, like, mainly the lower half of your body, your upper body too. Like, it's good to have flexibility, like in your shoulders, in your back, with like some twisting. And I think that's where like the yoga really comes into play too. So if you can find like a yoga practice that works for you, or even if you have some knowledge on it and you can build your own practice, and yeah, just spend like an hour or two a day, like kind of doing that, I think that'll really help. Diana says, do you have any suggestions for some good resorts in Europe for a beginner? To be honest, Europe is one of those places for me that it's been like, the resorts are so big and they're so like steep and advanced that, I find that Europe is like one of the more advanced places in the world for snowboarding. I'm sure there's some good beginner-friendly mountains, but I haven't really found them yet. So that's a difficult one. If anyone knows in the chat some beginner-friendly resorts in Europe, let us know. But so far from what I've seen, everything is pretty advanced or expert. I know that they do have like beginner areas, and there's still intermediates up there, but the mountains in Europe have been very big. Jade says, any recommendations for learning how to hop on rails? Definitely, Jade. So with rails, it's all about the progression. So starting off, getting your ollies down on the slope, being comfortable with jumps, maybe even ollieing onto, being very comfortable with boxes, and then boxes that are more advanced that you have to hop onto. And then when you do get ready for a rail, it's all about finding that easy rail. And what I do, usually the first few times hopping onto a new feature, is that I intentionally like just go over it. Just like I'm anticipating that I'm just gonna get on and then come off. Because then that kind of helps to build your confidence of like, okay, like if I do hop on, like it's not gonna be, I'm not trying to commit too much. And just knowing that you're just gonna come off the other side for the first one just helps to like boost your confidence, so that each time you kind of do it, you maybe try to stay on a little bit longer. But yeah, just find the easiest one you can. So for a good example for me, there was like a rainbow rail in the park in Austria in Hintertux. And the first few times I went by it, I just looked at it. I got really comfortable with the rest of the features in the park, the ones that I was just comfortable going for. And then I slowly like just started to try and attempt the rainbow rail, just going over it or like even coming off of it. And then once that felt like it was no big deal, then I actually started to fully commit to it, and then trying some front lips on it. And it was like a progression over a couple days. So that's the way I suggest you do it, is just do it slowly. You don't have to do it all at once. You can kind of break it up into parts. And I think that's how you stay safe too, hitting new features. Lucas says, what do you think about Lax, Switzerland? Yeah, Lax is incredible. One of the best resorts I've ever been to. Massive, open, like, massive amounts of terrain, tons of space. When we were there, we had some fresh powder. And actually, Lax was one of the more mellow mountains that we've been to. Most of the mountains we've been to in the Alps are like big and steep. And Lax was huge, but it wasn't like super steep. So for all the beginner intermediates out there, maybe Lax is like a decent mountain where it's not too big and steep for you. Matt B says, how would you recommend starting to get into the terrain park for beginners? For beginners out there, like before you head to the terrain park, try to get down as many of the skills outside of the park first. So learning switch, practicing your ollies, practicing butter tricks, getting into like just presses on the run, For things like boxes, you need to keep your board totally flat. So you can even practice outside of the park first, just riding with the base of your board completely flat. And then side hits outside the park as well. You know, you can get down 180s and 360s outside the park. So I would say try to get like a full sort of like a big bunch of tricks outside of the park first, including your ollies and nollies. And then once you're comfortable with that, then you can start taking it into the small park. So yeah, it's all about progression, doing it outside the park first, doing it safely, and then when you go into the park, it's gonna not feel so intimidating. And then the first time you go into the park too, like maybe, you know, just ride through, definitely just riding through, looking at everything, watching other people, what they do, and learning from that. And if you have some friends that are into the park as well, maybe get them to take you through your first few times. Albu saying that I look old with a mustache. That's the point. Yeah, the mustache gives you like that, old, prestigious look. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep it for a while. The mustache is just, you know, it's kind of fun to switch things up. Brian says, what are your thoughts on the Capita Defenders of Awesome 2022 snowboard? Yeah, Capita Defenders of Awesome, I've been riding it a few seasons. They probably haven't changed it much for the 2022 just because it's such a popular board that the camber profile, the shape, everything about it is very popular. So yeah, it's like one of those boards that is it's stiff enough to give you stability at high speeds. You can take it free riding. It's kind of like a good sort of around the resort board. It's not great. I think it's probably too stiff for beginner park riders. It's more of like a intermediate to advanced park board because of the stiffness. But you know, you can definitely take it in there. And then for powder, it's not great because it's more of like a twin shape. It doesn't have much of a taper to it. But just for general riding, resort, carving, you know, like a bit of off the run stuff and a little bit of park stuff is kind of like that good board that you can do a bit of everything. But I do think it's like more of a high intermediate advanced board just because of the stiffness. Will Rushing says, what do you think of your board setup this season compared to last season? And you missed a super chat. Okay, well, I'll check out that super chat shortly. What do you think of? What do I think of my board setup? Yeah, so the last couple weeks, I've been riding this board right here. It's the Knightdecker Sensor Plus, and honestly, like I love this board. So this year, I've partnered with Knightdecker to exclusively ride Knightdecker boards. And I've I looked on their website through their catalog and I found the Sensor Plus, and like the reason I chose to ride this board is it's got full camber. The stiffness of the board, it's a little bit stiffer than medium, so like around a 6 or a 7, and it has some uplifted contact points, so some 3D in the nose and tail. And that style of board is exactly what I want for like resort riding and for riding in the park. So for me, like the full camber, it just gives me a lot of pop. So as I'm going into jumps or over rollers, the amount of energy that I can generate with the Sensor Plus is just like a ton of energy. So popping off lips, popping off rollers, it just has a lot of like energy to it, which I love in a snowboard. And then this board is also the stiffness of the board, the like 6 or 7 or 6.5 maybe of the stiffness is the perfect stiffness for me. I really feel like when I land a jump, it like locks in. So you put your edge down and that stiffness really helps you to just lock in the landing, and then you can ride it out. So like I love that. And then also for doing like tubes and rails, for me, so I'm about 190 pounds. So when I get onto a rail, like I don't want my snowboard to just like totally bend out like with too much weight on it. So the stiffness of this board too, like when I hop onto a rail, it just helps like just stay on, locked, flat, and not feel like too wobbly. So the combination of the full camber for pop and energy, and then the stiffness of the board coming in at like 6.5 just makes it feel like a very like stable board for carving, riding through the park. And then so it has like the 3D in the board is called sidekick. So basically on the nose and tail, the contact points are like lifted up. And with a full camber board, it can feel a bit catchy if there's no like if it's just straight full camber. But because of the 3D nose and tail and those lifted contact points, as you're like going for a spin, it feels like very catch free, like you're just gonna slide off smoothly. And for like, any time that I've kind of not been 100% on a turn or a landing, and maybe times I would have maybe caught my edge, but because of those uplifted contact points, it makes it much more catch free. So that's been awesome with this board as well. So having those uplifted contact points, especially for butters too. When you're doing a butter and you have like sort of that 3D somewhat spoon-shaped nose and tail, it makes it much more catch-free. So I've been loving this board. I was like, my plan was to ride it, and if I liked it, I was gonna keep it, and if I didn't like it, I was gonna find a different Knightdecker board to ride. I was thinking of riding the Merc. So Knightdecker does a softer board called the Merc, and I thought that might be my park board, but after a few days on the Sensor Plus, I was like completely sold, gonna stick on this board. They do another version, it's just called the Sensor, so there's no plus involved, and it's a bit of a softer version, I think for more like beginner riders. So maybe for a beginner, the Knightdecker Sensor for park riding, but for like, I would say high intermediate advanced park riders, the Sensor Plus is awesome. So, and then compared to last season I was riding the Capita Super Doa, and it does actually have a similar feel to the Super Doa. So the Super Doa is a stiffer board as well, like a 6, I would say a 6, and it does have positive camber to rocker, and so you do get the energy and you get the pop. So very similar in that way as well. The difference between the Super Doa and the Knightdecker Sensor Plus is the Doa, after the camber, it turns into rocker, and that rocker towards the tips helps it be more catch-free and give you that more catch-free feel. Compared to this is more full camber, and instead of rocker, it's got the uplifted contact points with the 3D. So it's like two different ways of achieving the same goal of making the board feel less catchy. So very similar boards with like different construction to kind of achieve the same goals. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. But yeah, shout out to Knightdecker as well. Knightdecker is like supporting the channel this season, and that's so cool. Like the reason that I wanted to get a sponsor for the channel was because I wanted to partner with like a team at a brand that was like really passionate about the YouTube channel, about the videos, about seeing it grow. And the guys at Knightdecker just had the same goal and the same visions. So really stoked to be partnering with Knightdecker this season. All right, let's go into the super chats. We got a couple super chats here. Al Smith. Do you recommend Arbor bindings for women? Al, I've never ridden Arbor bindings, man, so I'm not sure, but if they have a women's line, maybe check them out. I'm sure they make great bindings, man, but I just don't have an answer for you. And Al Smith again, do you recommend Arbor bindings? Al, man, thanks for the super chats. Unfortunately, I've just never ridden Arbor bindings before, but maybe check out online, see if there's some reviews on those bindings. Caleb George with the super chat as well says, what do you think of the GNU Rider's Choice? Caleb, good question, man. Yeah, a few years ago. So I've never ridden the Rider's Choice, but I have ridden the GNU, Headspace. And I think they're very similar boards. I believe that they're both C3. But what I like about the GNU boards is I like the magnet traction. So for riding over ice, I feel like that magnet traction is really nice, especially if you like that in the park for grip, if you're on the East Coast. And I think the Rider's Choice is like one of GNU's like stiffer boards. So for stability, for hitting bigger features, things like that, I think the Rider's Choice is a nice one. And then the C3 profile too, I think gives it a bit more energy and pop, and just gives it a bit more of an advanced feel. So definitely a good board, GNU Rider's Choice. Matt B says, what do you find easier to land jumps, more on your toe edge? I've tried that a few times at a sledding hill in Syracuse, New York, and it works better for me. Yeah, definitely. I think the toe edge is the edge to go to on landings. You can just put your toe edge down, lock it in, and then and ride out your landings for sure. Definitely big fan of the toe edge. We got Sem watching from Turkey. Awesome. Thanks for watching from Turkey, man. Sem also says, hello, Kevin. You gave me enthusiasm for this sport. I broke my ankle and had surgery, but no matter, this is better than anything. Oh, awesome, man. Well, I hope you heal up quick. Sorry about your ankle. Yeah, but I'm stoked that you're stoked on snowboarding, man. JJ, what is your favorite park in the West? My favorite park in the West, man. So maybe between two parks, it would be either be Keystone in Colorado or the park in Big Bear, California. And I would probably, between those parks, I would go for the Big Bear. Yeah, Big Bear, California. It's just so cool. You have right off the chairlift, you've got features, and the features continue all the way to the bottom of the chairlift, top to bottom park run. Just such a good flow, and that would be my favorite park for sure. All right. Wald Zamirez says, yo, Kevin, I like you so much more when I was a complete noob. Now when I watch you and your content, I feel like we're not on the same wave anymore. Ciao. All right, man. Well, I feel like you've probably progressed. You know, you've progressed past it. So, ciao, Wald Zamirez. Have a good one, man. Thanks for dropping the comment. Glenn says, is the sidekick much different than Battalion 3DT or 3BT? Yeah, so the sidekick on the Knightdecker boards, it's more of, it's like a shorter sidekick. So where Battalion 3BT, I feel like the 3BT is like much more exaggerated from the end of the board, like kind of down the side cut. It's much a bigger, more exaggerated 3D uplift, I guess. Where the side kick on the Sensor Plus, it's like more, it's in a smaller area, so it's much, I guess, much less. So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. You see, I think you can like see it more on the Battalion boards, and the Knightdecker boards, it's a little bit more hidden. SD Dragon says, how is the chairlift safety-wise? Is it safe to get on? Yeah, I think the chairlifts mostly are very safe to get on. It's more getting off the chairlift when you're a new snowboarder. It's difficult. If you can practice your chairlift skills ahead of time, like how to get off, just finding like that small area where you can ride down and get used to riding with one foot. If you can do that ahead of time, then that really helps. But in terms of just general safety on the chairlift, you know, they have the safety bar. It's very rare for there to be ever any accidents on the chairlift. So I think as long as you are, you know, you've prepared a little bit, you watch other people, and you're always using the safety bar, I think chairlifts are very safe. Chris says, do you have any goals in terms of tricks for this season? And if so, what are they? Also, will you be going back to more zine this season? Yeah, definitely. I feel like every year trying to just continue to progress with the tricks. This year, one thing I want to do more is just to continue to do the tricks with like just a bit more style. And I actually felt that a lot the last few weeks is just doing, you know, the tricks without a lot of just locking them in, having them come around smoother, all those kinds of things, just having the trick be very like composed and feeling like the takeoff and, you know, just feeling balanced throughout the trick. That's one thing I want to work more on, and that was feeling really good the last few weeks in Austria. Get back to doing some spins with grabs. So 180s, 360s, maybe even 540s with, and throwing in some more grabs. And I think that'll come just as the season progresses. And then in terms of like rails and things like that, just a trick I've really been happy with recently is doing like back threes off of like rails and tubes. And that just all of a sudden clicked for me. So that was, I was stoked to get that. So just to progress on rails with some other tricks, maybe with some front boards, maybe some back boards or some front side board slides, things like that. So yeah, just to continue with it. I also want to do some flips into powder. So if we have a powder day and there's like a good spot, just start throwing some back flips in the powder. I've worked lots on my flipping skills, back flips, side flips, front flips on trampolines, and they feel like very easy and natural. So hopefully can take it into the powder this year. That would be maybe the #1 goal. Ada says, what made you want to start snowboarding? Love your videos and your positivity. Awesome. Thanks, Ada. I don't know what it was, but I was always very intrigued by snowboarding. I think that the idea of like just being in the mountains, being outside in the snow, the whole like progression of snowboarding, how you can always like be learning something, progressing, learning tricks, riding better. And then just exploring the mountains too. I think like being in the mountains is incredible, like going up with your friends and just exploring like these crazy mountains that we have is such a cool and fun thing to do. So I think it's a bit of everything. The progression, the like journey, the exploring, the equipment is really interesting too. And yeah, just all of those things. I think when you're out, like I love being outdoors in nature, and to add something into it, like snowboarding, and then also like the natural expression of your own snowboarding too. So how everyone can look at say like a line down the mountain and sort of choose something different based on their own creativity. All that kind of stuff is cool. So yeah, there's so many things about snowboarding I love. But yeah, I think it's yeah, just being active outdoors, being creative, and being with your friends, like all those things rolled into one is what makes snowboarding so appealing. Noah wants to know, would you ever come to Banff Sunshine Village Ski Resort? Definitely, Noah. Yeah, hopefully you can get out there. No, don't spam it too much, man. I see those questions rolling through like 30 or 40 times. Yeah, man, would love to get out there. Hopefully you can check it out. We'll look into it. What pass do I need for Sunshine Village, Noah? Let me know. Let me ask you that question. What pass do I need? All right, let me see if I can find some other questions besides Noah's. Jim Hansen wants to know, how do you keep your head down on a 360? Where do you look? Yeah, Jim, so definitely you start, you look your head around. So as you're coming up to take off on your toes, you pop and then you rotate back so that you do look back. And then I think at about 270, you're actually like looking down at the landing. And that's when you kind of like stop looking your head around and you start just looking forward to the landing. And then you kind of twist your body around for that last 90 degrees and put your toes in and ride it out. But it starts with, especially like if you're just popping off of like a side hit for 360. If I'm looking this way at the takeoff of a feature, for the 360, I'm kind of facing forward. And then as I pop, I'm like looking backwards and around. Chai says, preference on Epic versus Icon Pass for Denver resorts. Chai, that's a good question, man. Yeah, it's been funny. Like this year, I was hoping to actually get away with being able to snowboard and go to resorts without either of those passes. Go to some of the smaller, more independent resorts, but it's getting difficult to find those. So yeah, I guess is Keystone on Epic and Copper on Icon. I feel like you just got to go with whatever resort of each you like the most, and then just go with that one. Yeah, man, I think it just depends on your preference, like which of those two passes has the resorts on it that you like more. Glenn says, I was an avid snowboarder growing up, but took a 20-year hiatus. Last season was my first back on a snowboard, and I would just like to say thank you to you and TJ for all your great content. Awesome, Glenn. Yeah, appreciate you checking it out, man. Super happy that you got back into it. Glenn, what's your home resort? Where do you ride? Matt B wants to know my opinion on the Burton step-on, bindings, and boots. I would say, man, is just if that's like the top priority for you, is that convenience of like getting in and out of your bindings. I do think you lose a bit of performance because you don't have like the straps, and because you are limited by the boots that you can have with that system, and also the price. It's like a premium priced boot binding combination. But like if all those things are worth it for the convenience factor of not having to like bend over as often to do up your bindings, then it could be the setup for you, man. Dylan says, someone from my area is selling a 2020 horoscope, wondering if that's a good first board. I've only used a rental for one season, considered myself somewhat intermediate. Definitely, yeah, it's definitely like a good first board for sure. It's like one of those boards that is at the lower end of the price range. I would, before you buy it used though, I would definitely go and inspect it, look at it, make sure that it's not damaged, that it's not worn out, like it's not been used too much. But yeah, if it looks like it's in good condition, then it could be a great first board. Highland Cow says, I'm trying to do board slides and can get the board round, but I keep falling back. Any tips? Definitely. So super common when you're going for a board slide is to slip backwards. And that's because it's like kind of like this natural thing to kind of be hesitant and lean back. And for board slides, especially, I guess it's the backside board slide when you're facing forward. The name is kind of confusing, but that's what it is. It's the backside board slide. But when you're facing forward and you're sliding with your board sideways, super common to lean back and slide out. But what you can do to help you is actually take your front hand and like reach it down towards the box in front of you. And by reaching with that front hand down towards the box, it's just gonna help to balance out your weight and so that you can slide totally level. So give that a try next time. And also don't try to go straight into the board slide. Come on 50-50 and then twist it a little bit and just keep on twisting until you feel like you're fully committed and your board's fully sideways. And yeah, take that front hand and reach it down towards the box a bit, and that should help you to avoid sliding out backwards. Harris says, any advice on what parts of Whistler should I hit visiting for the first time as an intermediate? Any advice? Harris, man, I would just, if you're an intermediate, just try to explore as much of the mountains as you can. The cool thing with like Whistler and Blackcomb is that every chair does have like those runs for intermediates that you can kind of like get back down to the chair without too much difficulty. So yeah, just go explore, stay on the runs, try to find those like greens and blue runs that are good for your level, and definitely play the conditions too. So if like it hasn't snowed for a while, you know, maybe avoid going into some of the off-piste runs where there could be like moguls and things like that. But if you go to, if you're exploring and you kind of just see where other people are going that at your similar level and you're riding down the runs, it's just fun to explore. Yeah, that's the one good thing about Whistler Blackcomb for sure, is that the terrain is really friendly to all rider levels, especially if you're intermediate and if you can handle some, if you don't mind, some cat tracks. I would, if you don't like the cat tracks, maybe take a look at the map to try to avoid the cat tracks as much as possible. But if you don't mind like riding some cat tracks, then you can definitely do some exploring. All right, let's get into, all right, so we have a question about the SPC snowboard. So let's get into that topic for a bit. Magic Chris says, hey Kevin, have you chosen the style of your SPC board? All mountain, freestyle, park, POW board? Yeah, so I guess, yeah, from the last few live chats that we've had, putting out the idea of what you guys want to see in an SPC board, combined with like what I see the board being, I feel like it is going to be like a more all mountain style snowboard. So a board that can do a bit of everything, can go into the park, will be good for carving, and then like good for a bit of free riding, like off the groomed runs. So we're definitely leaning towards that type of board, but wanted to leave it open for you guys, for your input as well. And then I wanted to ask you guys about what kind of things are like important for you guys in a snowboard. I was actually, when I was up on the hill in Hintertux, I was asking people that, like, you know, what's their favorite thing about their board? What if they're gonna buy a new board, are they like looking for? And I know like what's important to me, but I also wanted to get your guys' feedback. So yeah, if there's certain like things that you guys look for in a snowboard, I would definitely be open to hearing it. So for myself, like I love a snowboard that has lots of pop. That was some feedback I got from a lot of people, is that a snowboard that when you go to do an ollie or just pop off of a roller, you feel like that energy coming out of the board and giving you that like lift as you put energy and pressure into your board. It kind of like pops you back and helps you for ollies. So that's like one thing like that I really love about snowboards, is like the energy that you can get out of it and the pop. And another one for me is the diversity of a snowboard. So the ability to kind of like take it through the park or take it carving, and then maybe even doing a bit of free ride with it. So for me, that's like a shape that is not too specific in any one way. So a shape, so for example, with the Sensor Plus, I really like the shape of it, how like you can ride it in either direction, so regular or switch. That's really important to me. And a board that feels like consistent if I'm riding it in either direction too. So kind of like that freestyle, the ability to really take the board freestyle and not being held back by anything, like that's important to me as well. And also like I know it's not, it can be like something that's important to me that maybe not everyone likes, is a board that's like a little bit stiffer than medium. I find that a board around like a 6 out of 10 is like that stiffness rating that is good for freestyle. So if you're taking it through the park, it's going to be, you're going to be able to do tricks with it. But also that's stiff enough for like carving and riding the whole mountain. I find too, like when you go off of the runs and you start riding through like the off-piste parts of the mountain, a bit of stiffness in the board definitely helps too, just helping you to be stable. So those are some of the things that are really important to me. But yeah, it'd be great to hear from you guys, like what you guys look in a snowboard in terms of the technical side of it. All right, let's see if anyone has any feedback on what they look for in a snowboard. Bood Brother says, gonna make your own board. That's awesome. Sweet, man. Yeah, that's the plan, to have a board in the stores this time next year. Magic Chris saying pop is the #1 feature for sure. Yeah, Magic Chris, awesome, man. Yeah, I love that. That's good to know. That's like one thing that when I think back of all the snowboards I've had, is the boards that have had a lot of pop are the ones that like stick out in my mind. So that's why I really like the Sensor Plus. That's why I like the Capita Super Doa. And like going back, that's why I like the GNU Headspace, because of the C3. Felt like it had more pop compared to some of the other boards. So yeah, I think pop is super important. Sven says, Kevin, a board for a minimum 12 size boot. Awesome. So yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to have like a range of sizes and then even like a wide snowboard. Sven, what length board do you ride? Do you ride like a 159 or bigger? Because I can maybe try to see where we can start the wide board size. Glenn says 3BT, most definitely. Full camber, but I would love to see grip technology on some of these spooned out boards. Awesome, Glenn. Yeah, that's good to know. That's just like the Sensor Plus, full camber with the side kick. So a bit different than 3BT, but has some of that 3D tech in the nose and tail. For sure, yeah, I like that idea, like a full camber board. It's awesome. It does help you generate that pop and also control, because of full camber, just having your edges like totally in contact with the snow, and then but yeah, that does create some catchiness towards the tips, and so something like 3BT or sidekick really help to make it more forgiving and less catchy. And yeah, you like the idea of some kind of grip technology. Cool. So that is an option that the Knightdecker guys told me, is that we can include some kind of grip technology too. So that's some good feedback. Jim says, I'm 6'5", 180 pounds. What length snowboard should I get? What kind of twin tip preferably? If you're 180 pounds, you're probably looking at a snowboard N65, around the 159 range. You go a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, but I think that most sizing charts would put you around 159 at 180 pounds. It's tricky because the taller you get too, like you do need your stance to be wide enough to be solid on it too. So you don't want to go too small, even if you weighed less. But I would check out the sizing chart. But you're similar to me in terms of weight. Like 2 years ago, I was closer to 180 pounds. I was about 185. And riding snowboards that were around like 158, 159. Luke says, this board is starting to sound really good, Kevin. Awesome, thanks, Luke. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, it seems like a lot of work just because there's so many options to go for when creating a board. Like I'd like to have to maybe create 3 or 4 different boards, because there's so many cool designs that are fun to create. But for the first one, I feel like it's yeah, good to just narrow it down into one board that's not so specific in any one way. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Magic Chris is saying a slight taper is great, like 7 millimeters. for carving and POW, but still good in switch. Yeah, Magic Chris, that could be something that we do too, like a slight taper. It could even be a twin board within the contact points and then create the taper like outside with the nose and tail. But yeah, having that slight taper definitely makes it so much better in powder. Fireblade69 says, no idea what to look for in a board or how to figure out what I want. Fireblade, well, hopefully we can help you out. I can help you out with this channel. There's lots of videos in the past I've done on like board specs and like what board technology means. But yeah, it's definitely a subject that is easier to understand with like more experience and the more you look into it. So maybe just like check out some videos about board technology and like how and what that is and like how it affects your riding as well. We got Chuck Van with a super chat. Says, hey Kev, what are you most looking forward to this season? And what would you say is the most underrated thing in your backpack? Chuck, I like it, man. That's kind of like two good questions. The thing I'm most looking forward to this season is just exploring some like new places, some new resorts. The border is opening soon here near Vancouver. So looking forward to maybe getting down to some of the resorts around Washington or Oregon or even California, exploring some new spots down south. And yeah, and then maybe even exploring some places just east of here in BC. So what I'm looking forward to most is just exploring some new places. And the most underrated thing in my backpack, probably the most underrated thing is an extra layer. So those days when I've gone up and I've had some kind of extra layer in my bag has been like so valuable for sure, because like when you're up there and it's like colder than you thought and you don't have anything to like put on, that's when the day can be rough. So having that extra layer just really helps. Damon says, I can only ride switch. How do I begin to train regular? Start training regular just by doing it as much as possible. Like start committing to days where you spend half of your day riding regular. That's how I did it. I like just gradually just added more and more switch riding in. Start on like the easiest parts of the run, and then start riding switch and more of the more difficult. And before you know it, you'll be riding like half of your day switch. If you can ride half of every day switch, then you're gonna progress with it so much. Liam says, I love the spooned out nose on my Jones flagship. Oh, my dog's kind of going crazy at somebody outside. Gives amazing flow and powder. Yeah, I love that shape too. For riding powder, having like a spoon nose just allows you to rock like so smoothly between turns, especially in powder. Even the Knightdecker Sensor Plus here, I was really feeling it like as I'm carving, and if I'm carving in like a narrower kind of shorter distance of riding, the 3D and the nose and tail really help it to turn a bit more smoother and like you're rolling between turns, which I love. James says, I feel the SPC board should aim to inspire confidence to progress riding ability, just like the channel. James, I love it, man. Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. All right, that's the goal. That is the goal right there. Just like a board that inspires confidence to progress. Definitely love it, man. All right, let's do that. I want to do that for sure. Peyton says you should come to Idaho around December and snowboard at Pomerelle. It's small but fun. Awesome. Yeah, we'd love to do some riding in Idaho for sure. Fireblaze says, thanks. I've been seeing just about all your content. Amazing. And ended up with a 2020 Burton Instigator Zero Camber as it seemed a good middle ground. I need more slope time to figure it out. Awesome, Fireblade. Perfect, man. Highland Cow wants to know, where are Knightdecker boards made? So I think they're made in a few different places. I think a lot of them are made in Dubai. So there's a factory in Dubai that makes Knightdecker, but also China, and I forget the third place, but there's kind of like three places where the boards are made depending on the board line. So that's one thing I need to learn more about, is all the different places. But part of the board project with Knightdecker will be a trip to their factory in Dubai, probably sometime next summer, like June or July. So that's really exciting too. Sean wants to know, just got them, Adidas Samba boots. Do you recommend that you recommended a while back? Did they last okay? I haven't had the chance to ride them yet. Yeah, I rode the Sambas for not this past season, but the season before for like a full year. They definitely last a long time. Yeah, Samba's great boots. Unfortunately, Adidas isn't making snowboard boots anymore, but yeah, if you've still got a pair, I think you should be happy with them for at least, depending on how much riding you do, the next year or two to come. Alan S says, hey Kev, what size is your red Longo jacket? I don't know. I think it's either XL or double XL. With the Longo jackets by Volcom, they are a bit shorter, and I'm a taller dude. I'm 6'3", so I may have gone with a double XL. I don't know. It's probably an XL. So I'm 6'3", 190 pounds. Magic Chris says, looking forward to see what you think for the top sheet design. Yeah, and if you guys have any opinion too on like what you guys want the top sheet to be, should I do like more of a simple design? Should it be crazy? I was thinking of going with the color scheme would maybe be more like the SPC channel color scheme, like the red, white, and black. So maybe something involving those three colors. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Blood Brother says, I would love extra contact points on the edges. All right, good. Yeah, thanks for the feedback, man. Yeah, a few people have mentioned the extra contact points. Jim Hansen wants to know, who's going to manufacture your snowboard? So Knightdecker. So this year partnered with Knightdecker. And yeah, they're going to be helping me make the board. So been talking to the team over there, and yeah, starting to share ideas, and we've laid out the timeline. And I think the one thing that I really wanted to do first is I talk to you guys about it and just get as much feedback as possible from you guys on what you're looking for in a snowboard as well. Highland Cow says, I find riding switch on button lips helps loads. Yeah, riding switch on a button lift, that's difficult. Shut Up says, will I tell a big difference between going from 162 wide to 159 wide? Size 12 boots, 200 pounds, 6 foot. Also ride Machete 2021, yes, or yes, basic. Appreciate the time, homie. You probably will notice it at first, but I find that with any board change in size, you're gonna adapt quickly, and then you'll get used to that new size like fairly quickly. So for me, the Knightdecker Sensor Plus is actually a 159 wide, and this has been my first wide park board. And after like 2 days of riding it, I would say I was like completely used to the wide width of it. And now that I've been riding the wide, I actually prefer it because I just feel like that more surface area is like giving me a bit more of a stable ride, and a bit more stability too, like sliding on boxes and tubes and rails. Just like that little extra width is actually helping a lot. And even with like putting my toe edge down for landings, I feel like the more width is just helping to lock in landings too. So I feel like after a day or two, you're just gonna feel you're gonna be totally adapted to the new size. Luke GT14 says, will the SPC board be sold in stores or online only? So I think the plan is to actually have it in stores too. So that's where you guys can help out as well. If you have like a local board shop, just asking them if they're going to have the SPC board into the shop will probably help get some orders into stores too. So if you guys are interested in getting a SPC board, maybe just mention it to your local board shop. The plan is to have them in stores and online. So that's one detail I have to work out is how many boards we're going to be actually making. But if you guys let us know too, like what the demand could possibly be, then we can start setting that up as well. Janconi says, I've only snowboarded in Michigan and have 2 trips out to Colorado this year. Any tips for riding real mountains for the first time? For the first time, you're riding like big mountains, just like plan on pacing yourself throughout the trip. Like, especially in Colorado, you're snowboarding up at like 12,000 feet. So you're gonna feel that elevation. So the first day, like don't try to push yourself too hard, like going all out, trying to like maximize your time on the mountain. Pace yourself, maybe do like a half a day. Take breaks as you're riding because 12,000 feet, big mountains. I remember my first time ever riding in Whistler, I had to like take breaks like halfway down the runs just because my legs were getting burnt out. After like a day or two of adapting, climatizing to the elevation and everything, I think then you can start to push yourself a bit more. Tim says, do you ever ride with crash pants? And if so, when do you ride with them? Yeah, crash pants, impact shorts. I haven't been riding with them this season, but last year and probably the past like 4 years, I did wear the impact shorts and they help so much. If you ever like slide out and hit your tailbone, it's one of those like places where you get hit where you get hit there once and then you never want to get hit there again. So I highly recommend impact shorts for beginners all the way through until you feel like you're not falling enough to have to wear them. But definitely recommend them for most riders. I may actually start wearing mine again too, but impact shorts, just huge for protecting your tailbone. Blood Brother says, are you going to come out with a gear list this year or did I miss it? I filmed a gear list a few days ago, so that is going to be a video coming out very, very soon, my 2022 snowboard gear list. We got NGen popped on to the chat as well. What's up, NGen? Thanks for tuning in, man. We got InMotion SLB. Will Rushing saying Knightdecker entered the chat. Knightdecker, man. That's why I know that it's kind of... some people think it's awesome teaming up with Knightdecker for the season. Some people haven't liked it, but I feel like having a board brand that is like stoked on the channel, that's hopping on the live chats, like that's what it's all about. That's what I love about. That's why I'm so stoked on the partnership with Knightdecker is that they're a brand that's is stoked on the channel, wants to see it succeed, and also like help me build a board. So all those things are awesome about the guys at Knightdecker. And that's why like people say like, oh, well, can you recommend boards that if they're sponsoring the channel? But to me, it's like, I'm so stoked on the guys that work at the company that it's like, I want to support those guys too, because they're supporting me. They're awesome people. And you guys should definitely be buying Knightdecker boards just because of the people behind the scenes in the company, awesome guys. And they want to see the YouTube channel grow. So that's such a cool thing. So shout out to whoever it is at Knightdecker who is signed on watching the live chat. I think I know who it is, but thank you guys for the support. Chuck Van says, hey, wasn't that guy on the live stream for real last week? Engen was on the live chat last week. Yeah, Engen was here. Swanee says, don't forget to hit that like button. Awesome, Swanee. Jim says, please have a very responsive board. Awesome, Jim. Yeah, definitely. That's another really good quality. A board that like is responds when you put the motion into it. It responds quickly. Definitely. Carbu says opinion on Japan slopes. Yeah, Japan is awesome. So about the slopes in particular is that the cool thing with Japan is that the mountains aren't like so big and they're not that steep. They're like that perfect pitch where you can actually like ride like fast, and there's not a lot of like hazards in Japan. So like on a powder day, the cool thing is that you can just ride with speed and cruise through trees without like much worry about like cliffs or like drops or just gnarly terrain. It's a type of terrain in Japan that's very like compatible with like intermediate to advanced riders and beginners, but terrain that is just like easy and fun to ride, and not too big either. It's like very, it's like a lot of good riding like condensed into a smaller package. Lackey says, excited to learn more about the Knightdecker brand and hear your thoughts. Yeah, definitely. So, you know, up until now, it's like the guys behind the brand I think are awesome. They're really into the YouTube channel, so that's amazing. On this last trip, got to ride a few different Knightdecker boards, and first time on the Sensor Plus. So I love this board. You know, for park riding, for stability, for helping me like land tricks. It's been awesome. I think you guys will see that in some of the videos coming out. I felt it myself, like as I was riding, I was like, wow, like this board is just very solid for riding with speed, for feeling stable, like in the air on tricks. And I think you guys will see that. But yeah, also got to ride a few other boards. So the Merc, which is a bit more of a versatile board, I think, just for more intermediate style riders or even beginners. And I got to ride that a few days. And that was super fun too, like a very just easy and playful board to ride, the Knightdecker Merc. And then also I got to ride the Knightdecker Alpha, which is more of a free ride board. And that one was really, really fun to ride too. I didn't get to really take it into the type of terrain that it's meant for. But yeah, another super fun board. But yeah, and then also got to give away a few snowboards too. So gave away an Alpha and a Merc on the trip. And yeah, shout out to the guys who got those boards. Keelan and also I think it was Noah got the, Yeah, Noah got the Alpha and Keelan got the Merc. So shout out to those guys. I hope you guys like those boards. Glenn says Knightdecker also makes bindings and boots, correct? Any opinion on these? Yeah, Glenn, so I've been riding the Knightdecker Cowan X bindings, and the Cowan X bindings are definitely, they're like a higher performance binding, and they have like the webbed kind of 3D straps for your ankles and toes. And for me, like bindings, the best bindings are the ones that just like hold your boot in place and that just work really well and that you don't have to think about. And so the Cowan X bindings were exactly that. You just strapped them up, give you that like secure feeling, and you're not really thinking about the bindings too much. So that was perfect. And then the boots, I've been riding the Knightdecker Tracers. And for the Knightdecker Tracers, they are a double BOA system, which at first I was hesitant about because I haven't had great experiences with BOAs in the past. But on this trip, I got to just ride the Knightdecker Tracers, doing them up tight with the BOA. And I think because they're like a softer boot, I didn't have any like foot pain. They weren't uncomfortable. And the BOA actually just stayed like good and tight the whole day. and didn't have like any issues. So again, like with boots, my favorite thing about boots is when you put them on, you tighten them up, and you don't think about them the whole day. They just like do their job of keeping your foot like, you know, held in and tight, and that's like really all I want. So the Knightdecker tracers were like perfect, good combo with the Cowan X bindings, and you know, just helped me to really get the most performance out of the board too. So really awesome combination, and yeah, it all worked out. It just allowed me to snowboard and have fun and make some videos. Awesome. Sweet guys, so I'm just gonna leave it there, just over the hour mark, but thank you guys so much for hopping on to the live chat. Stay tuned, there's gonna be lots of videos coming for you guys from Hintertux, Austria. I think I have 5 videos that I'm behind on, so I'm gonna have 5 videos coming out. And we'll also keep you guys in the loop too of the next snowboard trip. So as long as we have a place planned and some dates picked, I'll let you guys know, so that if you guys are in the area and if you guys can come meet us and come out and ride, that would be amazing. But that's going to be a goal for November, is to plan 1 or 2 destinations that we can visit and hopefully ride with some of you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hopping onto the live chat. If you guys want to check out some Snowboard Pro Camp beanies or merch, some shirts, I'll put links to those in the description. Also, all my gear links are in the description too, if you guys want to check those out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a good start to your snowboard season, and I'll see you guys back here next week. Awesome. Later, guys.